Hi everyone, yes, well, I'm back again, and I thought it's time to get back to doing Atakus reactions again, because I have missed doing it. I really do enjoy it, and I just feel, yeah, I've missed doing it, and it's a really good thing. I've been looking back at just some of the views I had, and some of the past reactions videos I've done have been doing so well. So I'd really like to say thanks for that. So I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go back to where I left off, was the first sort of regular thing I was doing, which is the series of Power Ranger team up reviews. We're going to do today, we're going to do the very quite popular 10th anniversary episode, Power Rangers Wild Force Forever Red. So I've got everything set up and ready to start watching the episode, so let's sit back, relax, and enjoy. Need to make sure I can get a proper view here. I haven't seen the episode for quite a while now, so I do know it very well. I will just say that because yeah, I do remember watching it back in sort of 2003 time when it came to the UK, because it's near the end of the series, and this series officially started in 2002, sort of stateside, and made its way to the UK. I think just before early 2003, which is what I remember. So yeah, we're going to start the episode now. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So we open with the Wild Force theme song. Okay, so we open on what appears to be the moon next to the Earth. Yes, we're in. Looks like we're opening on in a carrier, and what we can see is we can see the henchmen from Power Rangers Zeo, the Cogs, being led by some generals, which turn out to be recycled costumes from the Beetleborg series. I'm trying to think. The leading general there is definitely in the Shadowborg costume. If you may remember that arc, the White Beetleborg arc and the Shadowborg arc from Big Bad Beetleborgs. You got some of the Mantrons and Beetleborgs metallics, and the Green Beetleborg costume with the red eyes removed. And it's just revealed that they're being observed by Andros, the Red Space Ranger. And they're chasing him on horses. That's odd, seeing like robotic generals riding horses on the moon. So Andros morphs into his galaxy glider. I think one of those generals we've just seen riding next to the Green Beetleborg one is actually one of the Astroborgs. Oh, and guess what? We've now come to Bulk and Skull. Oh, the best appearance in this episode. It turns out that they're now running their own pool resort, their own bar and pool resort, and they've answered the phone for somebody quite mysterious. We can see here guest starring Jason Pham, Sean C.W. Johnson, Christopher Kamen Lee, Paul Schreier, Danny Slavin. Yes, all the names of the Red Ranger actors are appearing. Hello? And I think we can tell by the voice we've just heard answering the phone who that mysterious person was, and looks like Carter has now arrived in the rescue rover.
Cole Evans, Red Wild Force Ranger? How do you know who I am? I'm Carter Grayson, Lightspeed Rescue. Red Ranger.
It seems in some of the series, the Lightspeed Rangers are one of the few that's got to keep their powers intact. So they've always got their powers in case they come in handy. And the Time Force Rangers will still have their powers too. They didn't have their morphers taken from them. So. And Wes and Eric have shown up.
Eric, Cole, it's good to see you again. What are you guys doing here?
Well, we got a call that said meet here at the Nasada Spaceport.
Yes, and the Nasada Spaceport is the same port that was used at the end of Power Rangers Turbo for the 4 remaining Turbo Rangers to go into space to basically lead into Power Rangers in space. It's all, yeah. So yeah, and TJ's arrived, the Red Turbo Ranger, and he was also the Blue Space Ranger, but clearly he's back with a Lightning Cruiser, his personal car, to assist as Red Turbo Ranger. And there's Andros again.
You guys are all Red Rangers too? What's going on here? We were all assembled by a veteran ranger, our leader for this mission. Leader? Who is that? That's Tommy, the Red Zeo Power Ranger.
So yes, it turns out the one who's assembled them all, and indeed that person who Bulk took the phone call for, was indeed Tommy Oliver, with his new short haircut. But I'm aware that he actually changed his haircut. He cut his hair short quite soon after he left Power Rangers Turbo. I found that out quite recently. But yeah, this is.
They finally regrouped their forces and are amassing on the moon.
So it turns out, yes, the space villains on the moon are actually the remains of the Machine Empire, the Zeo villains.
So, how are we supposed to get there to stop them? In this. Represent the Astro Megaship Mark II.
So Andros has built up a new sort of Astro Megaship, the Astro Megaship Mark II, kind of the Astro Megaship 2.0, or whatever, is a better one than the last one, because the last one was destroyed at the end of Lost Galaxy.
This is a decision you have to make on your own.
I don't know much about spaceships, or this machine empire, but I will go wherever I must to protect the Earth. Same goes for us. Count me in. It's not even a question.
And before they're about to board the ship, I think we can all see that there is one Red Ranger missing.
Oh, wait. Wasn't there another Red Ranger here on Earth?
I was hoping he'd show up. But I guess he couldn't make it. We'll have to go on without him.
Oh, we can hear a motorcycle approaching.
Jason, you guys weren't gonna do this without me, were you?
Yeah, Jason, the original Red Ranger, has arrived.
You must be the new guy.
Hi, I'm Cole.
Good. I recognize some of you guys. Some of you more than others. I was starting to wonder whether you show up at all. You didn't think I was gonna let you do this without the original Red Ranger, did you?
And Jason and Tommy shake hands, signal their 10-year friendship. Just partners in crime fighting, really, the best partners in crime fighting. Now we're back on the moon in the space hangar.
We have been forced to wander the stars in hiding. That's right, but no more! With this, the greatest sword ever built, we will be able to rebuild the Machine Empire and have revenge on those who destroyed our illustrious leader, King Mondo!
So now we cut to the planet Meronoi from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, where we see the Quasar Sabers in the stone. we can clearly see that one of the Quasar Sabers is being pulled out, and it's Leo, the Red Lost Galaxy Ranger. Yep, so he's getting ready to join the action. And now we're cutting back to the megaship.
Contacted Leo on Miranoi, Orrico and Atakus. They'll be here as soon as they can.
Good.
It's all ready, Tommy.
Let's get started. Several years ago, the Machine Empire emerged from deep space and tried to invade Earth. Myself and the other Zeo Rangers succeeded in stopping the invasion by destroying their leader, King Mondo, and most of the Empire with him.
Well, I'm just going to point out what Tommy's actually said about how the Machine Empire were defeated at the end of Zeo isn't exactly how that happened. If you remember, it was actually Zed and Rita who defeated the Machine Empire, because that was kind of their plot through Zeo, because Rita and Zed and their minions were kind of demoted down to the comic relief for Zeo, but yeah, their plot was to kind of overthrow the Machine Empire, and they actually did it by.
I spent the last few years trailing
After the final battle at the end of Zeo, with the gold, where the Trey, the original Gold Ranger, regained his powers, the Machine Empire, King Mondo, the Machine Empire, and Machina, were quite badly damaged at the end, of the fight after being beaten, and then Luther and Zed give them a bomb, pretending it's a peace offering gift, and they open it and it blows them up basically. But we know that they weren't actually destroyed; they just had to be rebuilt because they were officially destroyed with the other original villains back at the end of In Space. So now, yes, we've got our 8 earthly Red Rangers.
We're not gonna let you bring back Serpentera.
Have now entered the hangar on the moon. Yes.
Let's do it.
So yeah, this is something we're not getting a lot of in these later seasons. Well, I think since Saban acquired the rights for Samurai, we have had a few more fights with the henchmen, just like back in the old days with the Putty Patrol and these guys, the Colts and all that. But this is, the late seasons we didn't get as many of these. Always more fights, but this is good to see. Just an more fight before the big battle. At the moment there's 8 Rangers there. I know that Eric's not officially counted as a Red Ranger, but yeah, he's definitely glad he's there, and he should be. I mean, yeah, he was the Quantum Ranger, and he's kind of a Red Ranger, because his costume was red, and I think it's better to have Eric there than the Red Alien Ranger, or Aquitian Ranger. I could see that. Or otherwise, I don't know if there were talks about bringing Rocky back, who was the second Mighty Morphin Red Ranger. I mean, they could, I suppose, if they brought him back, have him in the red suit, the red ninja suit that he had in the series when they gain their ninja powers in season 3 of Mighty Morphin. We'll do a bit of episode info at the end of the review. Yes, so yes, they're about what they've been digging out. There's actually Serpentera, Lord Zed's old Zord, which you may remember, yes, he used mainly in Season 2 and 3. It's just a shame how downplayed that is, because that's really... When we saw Serpentera in action back in the Mighty Morphin series, he literally almost destroyed an entire planet when they were searching to get the sword to do the power transfer from Jason Zacatrini to the Rocky, Adam and Aisha, the second red, yellow and black MMPR Rangers. But yes, so Leo and... I've actually... God, I can't believe I forgot. Yes, Orrico the Red Alien Ranger is there, but you don't see him in demorphed form.
Got here as soon as we could.
Yeah, so obviously maybe maybe I don't remember this episode clearly as I think I did, because I've watched it quite a few times, but I've not seen it
Let's do it, guys.
in recent. So yes, time for the morphing. It's morphing time. It's great to see all the different morphing sequences from across the series, one after the other, and I think this is something like this is what I'd always wanted to see when I was a kid watching this, just a team up of all the, team up of every past Ranger team. And this, watching this morphing sequence, you know, one after the other, brings back nostalgia. Because by this point, I never thought I'd see, you know, the original Red Ranger morph again. But I do remember watching this in 2003. It just felt nostalgic. I admit, yeah, the Alien Ranger morphing sequence was not that impressive. So it doesn't really matter too much that we don't see him morph. But I am aware that it's because the original actor couldn't reprise him physically. So yeah, so we have the 10 Red Rangers teaming up into teams of 2 to fight each of the 5 generals. So we've got Cole fighting General Bendrix, the lead general, and assisting him is Jason. Then we have Wes fighting, I think his name's Jarak, the second in command, the one in the green beetle ball costume. And he's assisted by Tommy Oliver as the Red Zeo Ranger. So Tommy's just used his power kick to, that's one general down, yeah. And now we have Orrico, the Red Alien Ranger, and Eric fighting, I think is the only female general. Yeah, and actually something else I do know is that they have 3 former cast members from across the show come back to do the voices for the general, even though they don't say much. And I know that the female one was voiced by Catherine Sutherland, who played the Australian Catherine. Yeah, the second Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, Pink Zeo Ranger, and Pink Turbo Ranger. And she also came back for the 25th anniversary in Super Ninja Steel. It was quite good. So now we have Leo and TJ doing some awesome sword fighting techniques with another one of the generals. Yeah, so the other two actors that came back to do voices was Archie Cow, who played Kai in Lost Galaxy, does the voice of the lead general, General Bendrix, and Walter Jones, who played Zack, the original Black Ranger, was the voice of Jarak, the Green Beetle Borg one. And now we have Carter and Andros using their blasters to fight the last one before the lead one. You know, what's really good about all Ranger team-ups is how most of the team-up episodes is how they do this in sync, and this is really good, all the extensive wire work, and as Lynn Cara pointed out, it is great to see a lot of the older suits, particularly the first Mighty Morphin suit, on sort of the wire harness work, which, didn't really appear till the later series. So now, yes, Bendrix is the only one left, and he's going to now take an attempt to escape in Serpentera.
Serpentera lives again! Now no one is safe from the wrath of the Machine Empire!
Take it off! Oh man, that's one ugly sword.
Oh, will he get away? As I say, Serpentera in this stage, when you see him without all the CGI, he does look more like his original version. Now, this is the major downfall of the episode, which I know let people down. When we do the episode info, we'll talk about it. So, Cole is summoning the Wild Force Rider to take down Serpentera. And the Wild Force Rider was what he'd been given as a previous in the episode before this, is a present from Animus for saving his life. So yeah, Serpentera is firing like this big purple beam out his mouth at Cole, and Cole's going to basically reverse it back by flying right through Serpentera. And yeah, and now Serpentera is finally defeated along with General Bendrix. So now they're back on Earth.
He's done a great service to the entire universe. Don't mention him, bro. I guess it's time to say goodbye again. May the power protect you all. Wow. So that
Why does Tommy have to be the first one to leave the group? Oh yeah, so they can obviously do all these make all these comments about it.
After all, I was the one that replaced him. Are you kidding me? I was the one doing all the work while he was at the juice bar kissing on Kimberly.
At least his haircut's regulation, right?
And my Q-Rex would eat his dragon sword for lunch.
Oh, so he took. So Tommy took the time to tell Eric about his Dragon Zord. Well, to see the Dragon Zord against the Q-Rex would be good.
What about that? Wait. Did I ever tell you guys about the time I got baked in that giant pizza?
Okay, yes, so that was Power Rangers World Force Forever Red, and yes, that is episode 35, and that is episode 34 in the series. Okay, yeah, so now we've watched the episode, we've done it all. We'll just do some episode info to kind of just add a bit more. I'm aware, what we'll start off is the things that were cut from it. I'm aware that there was a lot of extra footage shot of a fight of the fighting of the non-morphed fight with the cogs. There is some footage that's available to see that I have seen on YouTube. Most of it, well, that was just extensions of what was already in there, because I think originally Disney planned, because Disney were pretty much in control of it at this point, because pretty much the buyout of Saban was pretty much complete, and it was originally meant to be a two-parter, but because they'd already done the Time Force team-up, the two-parter Time Force team-up, which didn't actually use any Sentai footage, they'd already spent a lot of money on that, and so I'm aware actually that it almost wasn't made at all, but you know, I think that the people that a few of the producers that did stay on from Saban to Disney explained about the team up tradition and what they had plans for, and it would be a shame if it hadn't been made, and yeah, it honestly would. So yeah, it ended up being, you know, just a one-part episode, which is it's an episode I've enjoyed watching, you know, when I feel like it. And, you know, it was a really good episode for me as a kid. I remember you had the Best of Power Rangers Ultimate Rangers DVD that came out in the summer of 2003. And, yes, the last episode on it was this episode. And actually, yeah, it was the uncut episode. The version, the Fox Kids edit of the episode was cut short of the cog fight. You got to see barely any of the actual civilian fight, which is why I'm glad we like on Netflix and on DVDs and videos, you could see the unedited version of the episode. And then, so yes, I am aware, as I did say, about them potentially bringing Rocky back. I had heard that they had contacted Steve Cardenas, Rocky's actor, and he was on board with coming back, but they just he wasn't able to meet the schedule at the time. What I had heard was that if Austin St. John didn't agree to come back, then he would have assumed the red powers. He would have assumed the original powers. But what the appearance they did actually have planned for him was as Tommy's to appear as Tommy's butler. And I think, yeah, that's actually a reference to an episode of Zeo where they were doing like this role play, and Rocky played the butler in, and Rocky was acting as the butler, and he says a line. He says, "Oh, why do I have to be the butler?" And yeah, and then something I think most people probably know of all of it. Most people probably know of all of this. If you're a hardcore Power Rangers fan, particularly if you've watched Linkara's History of Power Rangers, you might know of some of the stuff I'm going to talk about. And it's questions of how some of the past Rangers have their powers back. We know, yeah, the Space Rangers still have their powers because it's made aware that from the Lost Galaxy team up that their morphers were still intact, and yeah, basically all the way up, and the Lost Galaxy Rangers, even though they place the swords back in the sabers back in the stone at the end of the series, but they could still, re-summon the powers if they needed them, as we saw in the Lightspeed Rescue team up. So yeah, so they were able, so those were able to just, they all still had their powers, and I think what the theory is with TJ's turbo powers is, yes, the turbo powers were originally destroyed, but if you remember back in Power Rangers in Space, there was the episode True Blue to the Rescue where the Blue Turbo Ranger Justin came back, and when he was recruited by Stormblaster, his vehicle. Stormblaster had a spare turbo morpher for him, and so I think the theory there is that Lightning Cruiser probably had a spare morpher for TJ. And of course, yes, the Equations, the Alien Rangers, we don't know if they have morphers. I think their powers are just tied into their, to their life force, their bodies. So yeah, and what I'm aware is that even though we didn't see the Zeo powers were never actually destroyed, so there are potential some theories that maybe Tommy just still had his morpher. Because I'm originally aware that for the Turbo movie it was meant to be a much longer cut, and there was meant to be a storyline at the beginning where the Zeo powers were in fact destroyed, and that's why they were replaced with the Turbo powers, even though we never saw that. And I know that there was also a 5-parter to the ending of Power Rangers Zeo that was never actually made, assumed for budgeting reasons, or for the fact that they decided to go along with the Turbo movie because it was a big budget theatrical movie. So yeah, what I've gone with is that Tommy still had his Zeo powers, which brings us into a question that I certainly was wondering when we get to Dino Thunder, is why wouldn't he have used them before he becomes the Dino Black Ranger? And I kind of went with at first, well, he doesn't really need to, and it wouldn't make sense probably to the viewers coming in at the stage, to the kids coming in, the fans, the new fans coming in at Dino Thunder, because they would have been very young and they wouldn't have really known where those powers came from, but I know that there were a lot of the older fans that wondered why, since they had seen him use the powers here in Forever Red. But I think the most popular theory that's out there is that when Tommy forged the Dino Gems, the power source for the Dino Thunder powers, well, the most popular theory I think is that he actually drained the power from his part of the Zeo Crystal to help to basically power up the Dino Gems, and that theoretically that would make sense. So yeah, so we can go with that. And then finally, with Jason's powers, of course, the original powers, potential theories. The first theory I believed is that when the powers were transferred from Jason Zacantrini to Rocky Adam and Aisha is that they weren't actually transferred; they were copied. And the reason for that is because in the episode where they do the transfer, after the 3 new cast are morphed, you can still see that the other Jason Zacantrini still have their costumes on. And so I assumed, yeah, maybe they still have their powers. Maybe they just, the powers were copied. But that theory's been thrown out for various reasons, such as what's been said about the morphing grid not being able to function with duplications of the same powers. I'm aware that the reason why they had to keep the the original 3 in costume for that scene was because the actors had already left, and that basically it was just doubles inside the suits, so they had to keep them in costume to avoid, you know, any confusion for the show. But however, there is an official explanation for that that's been revealed by Ahmet Barmak, who wrote the episode, who wrote Forever Red, is that in one of the comic series for Power Rangers back in the 90s, yeah, I remember there were a couple of different comic series. There was the Marvel one, and I think there was the official Saman one. But in one of the comics, in somewhere, is that Lord Zed used leftover energy from the old power coins, the Dino coins, to create evil versions of the Rangers. And when they were defeated, Jason took the morpher from his equivalent, and ideally, what goes is that morpher was still intact. So yeah, that's the official explanation. It's with the canon of the comic books and all. It's a bit, you know, people might question that, but you know, so what? So yes, that's pretty much what I'm going to say really there. Right, so yes, this is my Ataku's reactions / episode info on Power Rangers Wild Force episode 34 Forever Red. And I'd like to thank you all for watching. It's been great, I've really enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll be able to do more of these now. So thank you, I'll see you soon. Bye.